Do you know what's in your water? We pay a premium and have it bottled. We buy Brita filters and install expensive filtration systems in our homes. But if it's clear and it tastes okay, we drink it and don't even think about it. But maybe it's those clear, tasteless compounds that we need to be most concerned about. Our water, including our seemingly unpolluted lakes and artesian aquifers, contain trace amounts of prescription drugs. Everything from antidepressants to birth control to antibiotics are found in trace amounts in every glass of water we drink and in every pot of water we use to boil our pasta. Each year, the number of prescriptions that are written increases. As research advances our medicine and more drugs become accessible, the number of prescriptions that are prescribed goes up. In the year 2006 alone, prescriptions were increased nearly 12%. While this may seem to be increasing our life expectancy, it's not all good news. As we pump more drugs through our body, we're pumping more drugs into our water. 50 to 90% of the active ingredients from our prescriptions are excreted. They enter our sewage system, are sent to a reclamation plant, and through the chlorination process are completely unaltered. Over time, more and more of these active ingredients are building up in our water supply, only increasing the effect. Well, what effect are we really talking about? Depending on your geographic location, you're dealing with a different cocktail and concentrations of these different prescription drugs. While some may argue they're only minuscule amounts, these trace amounts can add up and interact. Your pharmacist checks your medications before you leave the pharmacy to make sure there's no contraindications or negative interactions between your prescriptions. But who's checking your bathtub or your water bottle or your garden? Most of the drug compounds we're talking about are water soluble, meaning that they're easily dissolved in our cells and in our water supply. But only a small 30% of these are fat soluble and are able to be stored in our fat cells. So when we water our garden with our contaminated water, the harvest absorbs those contaminants inside of their cells and are passed along to whoever or whatever eats it. So when we're feeding contaminated grass to our animals and to our livestock, we're really only allowing that material to build up in not only every cell, but especially in higher concentrations in their fat cells. However, if you are eating organic, you may think you're not getting any hormones, but are you? Eating organic simply means that we're not adding additional hormones or growth-stimulating compounds. However, it doesn't mean that inadvertently that these compounds aren't being passed on through our already polluted water. Of course, eating organic does decrease the steroids and the antibiotics and the additional hormones that are injected into animals. Did you know that 20 to 65 pounds of estrogen metabolites are dumped into our sewer systems from simply our livestock? That's as much as the entire human population excretes every day. Why do we need to worry about this? Well, let's focus on the estrogen that we use and we inject in our livestock. This hormone is naturally found in higher levels in females. It's what makes us feminine. It leads to breast development, ovulation, and other secondary sex characteristics. Birth controls use estrogen and other hormone mimickers in order to prevent ovulation or to prevent the implantation of an embryo in the uterine wall. Of course, these synthetic hormones, when given to the wrong people, can have negative effects. For instance, a Canadian study indicated that mothers that are exposed to high levels of estrogen during their first 3 weeks of gestation are more likely to give birth to a female. Well, other than messing with the gender ratio, males that are exposed to high levels of estrogen can also experience negative side effects. Everything from decreased aggression to decreased athletic coordination and other masculine tendencies are all apparent in these males. So if we know the negative impact of these hormones and of other prescription drugs, why don't we just filter them out of our water? Mainly because that entails a significantly more advanced and expensive method than we have available to us. Chlorination is the most popular method used. This is effective, low cost, and relatively safe. Of course, in order to get these fine chemical compounds out of our water, we need to be using a process such as membrane filtration, which uses a finer filter, or even reverse osmosis, which uses the movement of water to lower concentrations to filter out these contaminants. However, researchers are still working to find methods that are more affordable and safe for everyday use. Since at this point in time, we don't have the capability to eliminate these substances, there are measures that we can take to lessen the accumulation of these drugs in our water. For one, stop flushing unused pharmaceuticals down the drain. Take any unused medications to a pharmacy that has a program in place to properly dispose of these. Secondly, women that are taking birth control pills or hormone replacement, look to natural alternatives. Also, avoid using any cosmetics that have these synthetic hormones or estrogens found in them. And lastly, just an easy change. Eat less meat and eat organic. There are simple changes that we can make to decrease the accumulation in our water, whether it's entering our groundwater directly or through our drinking water. Prescriptions are accumulating in the food and drinks we have every day. So while these may only be present in trace amounts now, as this accumulates over time, it can definitely become a force to be reckoned with. Okay, that's my speech. Once again, I only know one person in Jacksonville, and it's my fiance.
Hello.